What's good, everybody? You rocking with the one and only TheCzarr, all rights reserved. CommenterNation, stand up. Shout to everybody that could come through and make it. Shout to everybody that catches the live stream. Now, we're always getting progressively intricate in different things that we discuss, so I'm going to just bring it plain and simple. The first thing I wanted to discuss actually was Wendy Williams. What are your thoughts with the Wendy Williams situation? She had a husband that had alluded to other things. She got back with him. But recently a picture erupted by a woman named Serena. And through this picture, Serena showed she was with her husband. And because of this instance and how it unveiled itself, she is now quiet and they're allegedly getting a divorce. You could clap it up for her or however you feel with that situation. His decisions led to that type of situation to occur. I have nothing that I want to say outwardly or overtly about it. I just wanted to note that that's the type of situation and the type of time that's happening. What's next for Wendy Williams? She had gone on her show and showed how they grew up together, how they were young and came into something. So I think that was something that literally built to a brighter situation and other things dealing with it. It seems I got Korean Prodigy on the line. I'm gonna see if she's available. Dealing with that, I'll ask her what's going on. Y'all like my song? I had to let my song ring out so y'all know how I rock. Always let y'all know I'm Skype. Yo, what's good, Queen Prodigy?
What's happening?
Not much. The first thing that we're going on, let them know where to find you. Did you hear me? Queen.
Say it again?
Let them know where to find you. Give them.
Oh, we live?
Yes.
Let's see. Hit me up on Twitter, YouTube, on Queen Prodigy, and also hit me up on Instagram, Queen Prodigy 0369. Let me know if y'all want readings. Let me know if y'all want coaching. $40 for 30 minutes. Please let it be known that I will be increasing my rate each month, and I will be adding $10. So take advantage while you still can.
Dope. So the next thing I want to do is go through and conversate. The first topic was that I was talking about Wendy Williams, and I wanted to know, as far as Wendy Williams, her husband, and the situation that they actually found that there was a situation where Wendy.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, YouTube's fucking up. YouTube's fucking with me. And we're back. So Wendy Williams' situation is that her husband and her are now getting a divorce after what's going on. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm going to assume that this type of behavior has been going on for a while, because a lot of people were kind of buzzing about it in the streets before, talking about different and also the situations of her husband. And it's kind of been known that he would drop her off and go see another woman. I don't know if that's the same woman that's pregnant or not.
Yes, I would presume so. Possibly could not be.
And I mean, a lot of people have to consider the fact that she's in front of a TV screen and she has to keep it together, and her health is not in the best shape. So it has to be extremely hard, but that kind of situation, you kind of get what you did.
So yeah, dealing with that situation, I want everybody to talk about what their thoughts were. Hey, Chris, what's up? Chris is with us. Chris A on Instagram. and go check him out, Chris_AY3. Message him, give him your thoughts. Chris, what is your thoughts with Wendy Williams as far as Wendy Williams and the situation with her husband, where now she's getting divorced?
To be real with you, I haven't even been up to date with that Wendy Williams situation.
Okay, I think I got to turn your mic up or something, Chris. I'm trying to hear it.
No, I have a bad connection, but to be real with you, I haven't been up to date with the Wendy Williams with that information.
Yeah, it's just that now she's officially, allegedly trying to get a divorce versus her going on her show and trying to work it out. That's where she's at right now. So it's sort of like a bad place. She's in between trying to deal with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know. The last thing I had with her was when that picture that she had of her. She wasn't looking too good.
Yeah, I would agree. I also wanted to bring up a serious subject on, you know, we all deal with things in life and how different things go. Now, we could take someone's opinion and their thoughts, but there's a situation where I addressed a commenter who was saying certain things a certain way, and it was almost like they were carrying a narrative out of emotion rather than looking at the situation, trying to judge me, as I've been doing the case a while. They've been commenting a while. You've been around a while, and I had to block them because it's toxic. There's one thing if we're discussing things, you can have your opinion, but when we get toxic, I can't deal with that, because I need people that's going to talk about the story, not talk about how they hate that I'm doing it. I'm doing it regardless what you like. You don't have to be here. I always told you that since the beginning. I always kept it honest. That's why I blocked them, because I was like, I've always said you don't have to be here if you don't want to be here, but you rather be here but continually go back and forth. And I don't do that back and forth thing online. Like, that's not what I do. So I had to get rid of him. What are your thoughts about me doing that, Queen? Do you think it's unfair for me to choose not to go back and forth? I don't know if Queen's still here. Chris, what are your thoughts? Is it fair for me not to go back and forth?
Nah, I think I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, there was a commenter that didn't like that I went back and forth with them.
Yes.
So I had to block them. So, do you think it was fair that I blocked them?
Yeah, in a way, yeah, because I think they've been I think for a while now, commenting and stuff, and that's not what we're here for. We're not here. You're not here. You're not doing this to be criticized on the stuff that you put out there. There's no. I would block. I would have done the same shit. There's zero tolerance for that. Stop disrupting what's going on.
Yeah, I don't mind if people have an opinion, but she was like aiming for, and I did entertain it, but then it's like she started typing paragraphs. Now this person hasn't even commented, and I don't know how many videos, but then she's back and all she wants to do is comment and say things. But here's what concerns me. It's when I mentioned two specific names, she started doing it. The Genesis situation, then I mentioned the Kid Trunk situation. And that's when it began. That's where my interest peaked at. I'm like, well, if they're just showing up when I started mentioning these two names, who are they really here for? Who are they really here for? And that's what my intentions and thoughts were. Who are you guys here for? I don't understand that.
I'm so sorry about that. I had someone in the call, but as far as what you need to do for yourself, I mean,
it is what it is. I don't tolerate people harassing me, calling me fake, or doing anything like that would, you know, create a toxic environment. And at the end of the day, you don't necessarily need nobody to really, you know what I'm saying, co-sign you unless they really want to rock with you. So I wouldn't trip.
Now, I'm going to put this out there, and this is just me giving slight information. I've been having a conversation over a few months with a person on the backside that has been faceless, that I've been working with, confirming things they're saying. And I just connected them to who they need to be connected to. So, you know, if anybody still doesn't believe I'm genuine and stuff, that's fine. But no reels happening on the backside. That's all I can say for now. I can't go into detail. I'm just saying I'm handling business as it goes to what needs to happen. And I'm looking out for what's true. And the people that know I'm genuine, that I want to know I'm genuine, no. I don't care if someone doesn't think so. Authenticity is in my action. It's not in anything else. And that's the problem. A person uses words to try to sway someone, but your actions aren't genuine. You do things to hurt rather than to help. And when you're at that point, in the words of the great mogul Czarr, take the Mossberg under your chin and do us a favor. That's just facts. It's time for you to go. If you live your life off of the downfall of someone else to get any growth, off yourself. I'm just being real with you. And you gotta come. You have to be an adult at some time. Seriously, you're a problem. Period. And that's the thing. So many people throw stones and hide their hands. I've never thrown a stone and hid my hand. I don't know what that feels like. If I've dealt with something, I dealt with it. If I had an issue, I spoke on it. I never threw a stone and hid my hand. You throw a stone, duck, and hide your hand. Or when the authorities come around, you're copping pleas and lying. I don't move that way. If those authorities are in here, you can co-sign I don't move that way. If you've arrested me, you know I don't. Be real. Now it's time to be real. You can sit here and say this guy never did something and hid himself, or he didn't do something and hide, or he didn't try and run from us. Nah, I don't do that. And so many grown men, overly grown men, are still behaving this way. And I'm ashamed of you. Like, come on. If you're over 40, what are you doing? You're still running from police, still hiding, still trying to fight and tussle with women. If your words ain't strong, take the Mossberg. Do you know what a Mossberg is? Put it up under this area. Lean it back some. You got to lean it back some so that you don't cause any issue. You're still not around. Do that for us. We don't have the time for you. You know, you sitting up there using a woman. Come on, man. Put in work as a man or put no work in, period. And if that's just what it is. If you're still confused whether you're a boy or a man, you're probably a male, which means you're neither. So get rid of yourself for us. Thank you. And that's my preemptive stake to it. What I wanted to say also, talking about this situation. Now, this is a very serious thing. And I want to ask the two people, Chris A. and Queen, here with me. What would you do if more critical information about the X case came out? What would be your first reaction?
I would wholeheartedly accept that. I mean, I would assume, given the fact that we're on the precipice of, you know, heading to trial next month, it's becoming more detrimental as time goes along to understand what's going on.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like probably my first reaction would be like, oh man, more shit, more bullshit. Oh great, you know, and then have to just deal deal with it. The hard pill to swallow, and do what I do. Keep following up and making sure all the stuff that's coming out is what they're releasing to public is actually accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still gonna feel some type of way. It could be the smallest thing that comes out, so I still feel a certain way about it.
Okay, word. Also, women, or even men that have someone that they want to oust in some way, shape, or form, as what I put in community, message me CZARR_ all rights reserved, one word. Message me, and so we can conversate about it. I'm very serious about that. There's some people that just need to go, and it's at a point where if we can't 2019 make progress in peace, then somebody should be in pieces. I'm sorry. It's different connections, different groups, different people I'm starting to rub shoulders with. And I'm starting to see that there's a lingering odor of lame around certain people's lives. So you're living your life, you're hard working, trying to do things, but there's that lame that keeps coming around, that lame that can't behave themselves. Let me know. We're going to have a movement. We have something on the backside happening. And my thing is, if they need to be under the jail, they need to be under the jail. Something needs to happen. It needs to happen, period. It's that point right now. It's that time. So the rise of the lame, your time's done. And that's what you are. The people look at ages, I could call who? All of them can go with you. All of them can go with you. That's just what time we on. If they love their freedom, they love living like, that's cool. But if they have to do this other stuff that we're seeing synonymously, they gotta sleep. They're sleepy. Okay. You know how a kid, when you're trying to put it to bed, it kicks, screams, and cries because it doesn't want to go to sleep, but you have to teach it how to do it. There's a certain time where that teaching time's over. You gotta go. You're too old. This is not mommy. You're not sucking on breasts. You're too old for it. We don't have the time for it. We don't want to hear from you. We don't want to see you around anymore. It's just what it is. That's the movement. That's what we're sticking to. And that's how it's going to rock. I think I'm very patient. And the time's coming. So they'll see. But back to the conversation at hand. There's also a lot of things going on, speaking on the subject, with Trump and everyone signing different petitions. He went on, he mentioned how politically the wall and different things that are happening. I lost y'all. What do y'all think about Trump's wall?
This, honestly, man, you can't stop what's inevitable, man. There's tunnels, there's all that already going on. What is the wall going to do? What is the wall going to do besides probably keep us in? It doesn't make no sense. To me, it sounds like you need the money for other things, or you're using that as an excuse to wash money. Just something else, and it's crazy.
Very interesting. No comment here. Queen?
I mean, let's be for real. I think that people of color need to wake up and realize that the only reason why a man is attempting to put up a wall is simply because there are specific doctrines that continue to give white privilege a lot of power and control, and they're losing that amount of wealth and success because of people of color, because of Latinos, African Americans. But I think that it's time that we actually look at the situation pertaining to Nip and how he was doing his best to unite Black people, Latinos, different gangs, different minorities, different struggles, in order to allow them to have a level of independence within their own wealth, as much as he provided that for himself and his family.
Well, let me also throw this out here since Oriah said it. R.I.P. Nipsey Hussle, who's done a lot for his community versus a lot of other people. I also want to say this quickly when dealing with the situations, just while I'm thinking of it. I've seen recent movies, and have either of you two seen the movie Us?
I don't really watch TV like that, so I'm gonna just say no because I already.
Oh no, it's a movie in the theaters.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that.
I highly recommend that to both of you. I don't want to spoil it for you both, but I found a lot of interesting points in this movie. Not only with life, but I want to go off and say this. Call me wrong. Jordan Peele is probably one of the greatest movie directors of our generation. I don't know. I'm still getting used to his style, but going from the movie he made before, offhand, I can't think, Get Out and Us, he's one of the best movie producers of concepts, of conceptual writing I've ever seen. It's like if there was some way to convey a point, he got it across like I ain't never seen no one get it across until it sat in my mind after. And the rest of that day, I was like, dang, like, what if he had something? Like, it made so much sense. It's crazy. If you don't see no other movie, Get Out and Us, those two movies were, I'll give him an applaud right now. That was the two movies to me. That's just how I felt about it. You know, it's different from a Tyler Perry movie. I mean, that's a style and it's entertaining, but he's playing with your subconscious. Jordan Peele plays with your subconscious. So he'll have three different narratives, points to be made within the delivery of one movie. From start to finish, there'll be three different theories you can develop throughout it. And it's just like, wow. Like, it's different. It's really different. I don't know if he's doing this alone. I don't know if he's doing this with a group. In my opinion, he has to have a group to be doing it like this. There's no way. I can't imagine a person doing it in this way, but still making it look like a movie. And when you finish, you're like, dang, he is a generational, transcendent movie director. Thank you, Mr. Jordan Peele, for what you do with these movies. The movie I seen today, Pet Sematary. Now, that's a Stephen King novel. And maybe I never read the novel, but it was very interesting. And what I found most interesting about it is how it showed, and you know, you guys, you're welcome to tell me what you think. If you have any of you seen the Pet Cemeteries before?
I've seen the older ones, yeah.
Yeah. Have you, Queen?
The original version.
Okay. Well, this one was different, okay? Whereas the original version was based around the pets, this one was too. But you see, the pets were used as a vesicle to see through the power of coming back to life. So the cat was meek, humble, and when it came back, it was just a different nature of a creature. It was aggressive. It was very like in and out. Now, here's what was very interesting too. At the beginning of the movie, the doctor was trying to save a boy, okay? I guess he was a boy, a man, and this seemed to follow him as a guardian angel type character, telling him not to do things, trying to show him things, but he ended up doing the opposite of it. But then towards the end of the movie, I couldn't tell whether it was helping him or whether it was controlling him. It was odd. because then it got caused people to end up in a bad situation. But ultimately, it was very odd because the only person that was seeing some of these things was the little boy. And the reason I brought this up was because of this. We think of our lives, okay? And we see how we live our lives, rigid, torn up. If we would take the time to live our lives being grateful, thankful, and very watchful of our surroundings, dealing with stuff, we could probably save other lives. So whereas, say, Queen or Chris were walking downtown or something like that, and if they had spoke to a man at a certain time, he would not have ended up in the crash he ended up in. And when I think of this, the reason I'm speaking on this is for this reason. Do you think if X had someone around to conversate with, okay? Now think about this. He had someone to talk to, or he was on good terms with someone who he was allegedly behind the scenes on bad terms with. It could have prevented him showing up at that time for that to happen.
I feel as if sometimes, I kind of wonder, when it comes down to passing away, regardless if there's just going to be a moment that catches up with you, or can it be prevented? And that's something that only God will ever know. But clearly sometimes certain things happen to keep people away so that they don't have to suffer the consequences of being in the same position.
Okay, so with that said, do you believe that somebody's love had to be fraudulent around him? Had to be.
I mean, when you look at this situation with Nip, right? This is the reason why a lot of people have been asking me to do readings on Nipsey. I'll probably do it tonight or tomorrow, whichever way. But I had to take some time to mourn Nip, not necessarily crying, but just reflecting on who he was as a person and everything else. But he put something back out into, the face of so many different people. When it comes down to what he stood for as a person. And I hope that it brings light to get people to see that sometimes even the closest people around you can hate you.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask this. Do you find it fair, and I'm going to ask this sincerely from a knowledgeable standpoint, do you find it fair that if you do a crime, you do the time? But if a cop does a crime, just to save their credibility, he can avoid having to take the same punishment as you?
Indeed, because this entire system is framed by a fraternity that governs your every move.
So are we presuming that this isn't an inhumane crime against humanity? Or because someone makes the rules, we have to just accept it?
It's not that we have to. It's about the investments that we've made by putting our tax dollars into something that can retaliate at a catastrophic level if people comply with it. It's about whether if people can actually be, kind of synchronized as one in order to realize that it's not, it's not a me versus you. It's just about respect. It's just about compliance. And that's something that we've kind of lost as far as dealing with morality and how some of these kids turn out nowadays.
So saying that, did we have a choice though? When they demand tax money, did we have a choice to elect them not to put brothers, sisters, cousins into positions of power in order to enact on inequities within their own heart? Did we get a choice of that, or was it forced upon us?
I would proclaim that it was forced upon us, and it kind of relates back to the whole wall situation. If you think about it, most Latinos, speaking of like Mexicans or anyone from Central America, South America, regardless, they would migrate in those regions. So why wouldn't the original people go back to where they came from?
Right. And even on the Nipsey Hussle thing, how he wanted to quell the violence, yet he was done violently. And the only reason they caught a guy is because he was dumb enough to go live. It was like they showed up just in time after it's done. No preemptive knowledge, nothing. Just when he was about to speak about quelling the violence. Now, here's what I'm getting to. Are our lawmakers in the system, such as judges and everybody, are they the true problem to our society? Not that violent criminals aren't, but it's like they let certain people slide, but they try to persecute whoever benefits. But they never persecute themselves, right? So how is a man or a human being in a position when they're flawed in order to dictate what's correct and what's not? Like the judge that bangs the gavel could go home, and before he goes home, pulls out his own personal bottle, chugs it, and driving. Well, now he's drunk driving, but he's still able to chug his bottle and speed home. If he gets stopped, that cop sees who he is. He won't give him a ticket. He'll say, "Get home safe, sir. Do you need me to follow you?" He's like, "No." And he's like, "Okay." Real rap. So this judge can do that. This other cop is allowed to steal baggies of cocaine and write him off and take the whole line as he gets home, and yet show up to work on Monday with the gun on his hip. And law is not tested normally. If you guys don't know, officers of the law, they don't take drug tests and things. It's random, which means I literally, as people in power, control if I'm randomly going to test someone. And the person that usually gets the random test is the person who is less beneficial for the system or whatever system they have at that moment. So utilizing these things, the president can walk in front of the police and allegedly do whatever he wanted to do in front of them, and they'll just laugh it off. How is this system created to benefit that of the people when they're usually and normally using that very power to get away with daily activities? And what I'm getting to is, how would we go about persecuting these people?
I often have the same collection as far as looking at how this country allows capitalism to be its number one religion. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be factual, because someone can be making $12 an hour and pay $250 for a speeding ticket versus a multimillionaire who can blow that in 2 seconds.
Right. I mean, capitalist society inherently taken in, its relations and its prestige and different things that are putting these people who, and let's keep it real, that are prejudiced in positions of power. And they are. If you sit on a stand, you know you snorted a line yesterday, but you bang the gavel on someone who's being convicted of it, you're a hypocrite. And yes, although I'm going to be honest, I feel there's a special place for you when your eyes close for the last time. But what I'm also aware of is that because of what you've done, you've damned your family. You've just cursed your entire, that's what they don't get. When you do those type of things, you curse your entire family lineage. So you may never happen. Nothing may ever happen to you. You may get your kids and your wife out of everything. But when your grandchildren are living and you're no longer around, what happens to them, that is what my belief of when heinous things happen in certain situations, not everyone, in certain situations. That is my belief. Because what you've done is you had someone that used and abused their privilege to judge others and do dirt themselves. Never face the piper, never face up. Not 1 day in jail, not 2 days in jail, nothing. Not even any type of reprimand. Just a slap on the wrist, a pat on the back. And you think you slide away. When you go to your resting place, what happens is you leave behind a curse on your family lineage, but you don't understand that. So I'm beginning to understand why certain things happen to certain people when I research their family lineage. I'm beginning to understand. I'm like, well, they were related to this guy in power who did this, this, and this. Nothing ever happened. I can't believe he got away with it. But then I see what happened to his grandson. And then I'm like, oh, it's you curse your family lineage. If you don't understand that yet, your mind's not there. You're not there yet. But that's what you do. And I find a lot of signs of this because of decisions people of power have made, like the cop that looks for every black to stop and do something. And then his son is off somewhere, gets stopped by an officer, and he gets bagged doing 20, 30 years for something he did. Well, they're like, he's the son of a cop. Yeah, a dirty one that was prejudiced. You get it? That's as easy as it comes. Even if you get your son or your daughter out of everything, there comes upon that time that for you being prejudiced as you were, they come across a black. Okay? And that very fear you put in the hearts of everyone else, they give it to them 100 times worse. And you don't get that. That's okay. Because that's the curse you left behind. You had no problem destroying lives. But then when the one life you loved faces the same turmoil and torment you gave, then it's a problem. That's the problem. And I'm beginning to understand things a lot more life-based. I'm beginning to see through the lines. I'm beginning to see, I don't know if it's a higher understanding. I don't know if it's comprehension. I don't know what it is. But when I look at how abuse of power is the norm nowadays, and I look at who's doing it and what's happening, some of the stuff makes sense. Not all, because that's not life. But some of it makes sense. You know how we always say people never pay up for different things? What's true is the situation in Oriah. That's a good point. But that's a little different because he called the turmoil. It's weird. That one's kind of weird. You know, Eric Holder, the guy who did that to Nipsey Hussle, he avoids any type of violence. goes to the psych ward, gets arrested out front, gets put in the car with no problem. Then we see both of his cousins get laid out. His girl in his mother's house, shot up. That there is an example of a curse because you laughed, publicly laughed, and bragged at you publicly laughed and bragged off of doing something heinous to another man such as Nipsey Hussle, who lived his life to help others. You understand right now there are people who live their lives harming others and find some way in their mind to convince themselves they're not trash and they don't deserve to end themselves because they're cowards. Because you're not man enough to deal with your own self. You got to get others involved. You can't end just yourself. No, you can't just end yourself. You need to get others involved in what you do. That is what we see when we see the people who walk in the mosque and shoot innocent people, or people who go on a rampage in schools. They're cowards. They're all cowards. Don't ever think something like that's justified. That's not a freedom fighter. If I can lift a weapon against people who are praying in a setting, not anything, but I don't lift my weapon at cops, I get arrested. I don't understand that. These guys, they get arrested. What I don't understand even more is how they get arrested and they're shooting back with cops. How many African Americans have we seen shot unarmed? But these men just get their hands behind them. How do you go from gunfire with him firing at you to you getting his hands behind his back? Because he surrendered when he just killed people, then attempted to take you out. It's beginning, honestly, I know that sounds strange, but I'm at a point where it's all beginning to make sense to me. I'm beginning to see something else. I don't know whether it's a vision. I'm beginning to understand how these things are occurring. I'm beginning to get it. I know that may not make sense to people, but I'm starting to see, like, it's starting to all make sense. And I'm like, wow, like I'm just enlightened. And that's my thing. The only thing that I am not understanding is when it comes to grown men that behave a certain way to harm what they claim to have love for. I will never understand it. That will never make sense to me. But the only thing I can conclude from a smart mind is that it is something most men don't have, which is insecurity. Listen, most men, you'll make comments about them, they'll laugh with it, say, I'm me. They're not really jocking stuff. But when a man is insecure, he has woman-like tendencies. That I see. That's the only thing I do get about it. They behave like a woman. So they'll nitpick and do things a woman does. They'll behave, and that's the difficulty in the situation. Their insecurities turn them from a male into a woman. So you behave like a woman. You act like a woman. You speak like a woman. You'll say things like a woman. And women, you're women. That's understandable. But when you get that type of weird stuff with a guy, his insecurities create him to behave like a woman. That's all I can understand. Because I can't find justification for it. That's why I spoke on it how I did. So it's not women. It's women. It's nothing you're doing. Nothing. Okay? In that situation, it's nothing you're doing. An insecure man behaves like a woman. You can't get around it. Listen, I could be the stinkiest person in the room. And you could say to me, yo, you're the stinkiest person in the room. I'll be like, I got that flavor. I got that kick. That's what goes through in my mind. That's how it is. People's opinion of me doesn't sway my character. Neither do I feel I have to be aggressive towards a woman. I've never felt that way. So that's odd to me. It is insecurities of a man, in my opinion, that lead them to behave like a woman. That's my conclusion, because I can't see it no other way. You can't look me in my eyes and tell me you're a man because you're acting tough, because you want to get physical. That's all a facade. You're insecure, he, she type man thing. Well, actually male thing. You're not a man, bro. That's a fact. Okay? If no one's ever told you that, you heard it here. That's where the understanding comes in, because I've never heard of it like that. Like, I've been pissed, and I've defended. I'm going to keep it all the way real with you because I got to. I've had women try and stab me with knives. I've had women try to attack me with their bare hands. I've never felt that I got to beat the crap out of this woman. If I got it out their hand, I was done with it. If I subdued it, I was done with it. But I never heard of a man going after a woman to attack. You're a hoe. I'm sorry. I got to repeat this. I've never heard of a bunch of men going after a woman to attack. I've heard of back and forths, a guy going overboard and him realizing I was wrong. I need to fix myself. But going after her to attack, you're an insecure hoe. I don't care your age. I don't care what you do. You're an insecure hoe. I'm telling you, I've been in situations with women coming at me with knives. Like off the rip, me not doing nothing, me just speaking. And you guys got to try and fight off the rip. You're weak. Doesn't matter how strong you are. Like, you're weak. And let me add something else so you get it. If you do research, and this is going to rock y'all, there is a certain occupation that is known for being involved in these disputes, amongst other things, aside from other things. Can y'all guess what it is? Allegedly, an officer of the law. Now, with me saying that, what are your thoughts on how domestic abuse in homes with the alleged officers is acceptable? Do you, Chris or Queen, do you have any thoughts on that? Oh, we'd have to get Queen back here. But my thing is, Chris, are you here? Okay, maybe my joint dropped.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
Okay. But that's my thing. I'm gonna tell y'all my thought about this. Again, it's insecurities. It's insecurities. So insecurities. What did I do, Michael? I'm gonna tell you what I did. I said a few things. There's not one woman around me who can ever tell you Czarr lifted a hand against him. Not even if they were going crazy. I don't do that. I know my power as a man. I know my power in thinking. I know my abilities. And these hands were made to crush men. I'm sorry. These were made to deal with men in a certain way. They weren't made to hit a woman. So when a man is using his hands on a woman and stuff, you dodge your sword. You dodge your sword, because something you got to understand, a scuffle with a woman ain't nothing like scuffling with a man. It's nothing like it. So when you dodge your sword, You can't come at me in a hard way. You could talk a lot, but there's nothing you're going to say or do to me in a hard way. It's not going to happen. You could go to the fullest. It's not going to happen because you dulled your sword. And if I know you hit women, that's worse. Because let me tell you, I'm an Indian. Only my Indians know what that means. War with us is different. You're risking it all when you're warring with us. Beef with us is different. It's way different. Because the way you've been come at by a man, mine ain't going to be like that. It's not going to be nothing like that. And I'm going to leave it at that because what did I tell you? As X did that I said he shouldn't have, is told how he goes to war. He shouldn't have talked about that. My war is different. So you're going to think you're going to come over and do what you do with the woman and something different's going to happen. And that's what you're not going to see coming. And that's why I play for keeps. And that's why I'm not insecure, period. See, that's what I'm trying to say, man. There are, and I agree, there are some women that act like men. But me personally, I've never been in a passionate relationship with that. So I can't say that. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you are dealing with that in your life, you don't want to, because an insecure man is way worse than a cat fight. Because you're dealing with someone that may be larger, maybe plumper or something, but they behave like a woman. Things that get a woman mad, get them mad. You're built like a hoe. Period. This is the realest I ever spoke. I learned from moguls, man mindset. Nobody who identifies as a man behaves like that. You can't even say you're a man. You can't even, you are identified as a male, which means your genitalia, nothing else. If that's not clear, you got some learning to do, no matter what age you're at. And it's sad, but that's the truth I'm trying to tell you. See, there's a different way of speaking. I don't have to make a woman feel like everything's her fault to get things through and speak on it. I speak my piece. I make up when it's time to make up, but I don't have to attack them to get a point across. If you got to do that, you might as well be, when we come up to you, your homies might as well say, "What's up, sis?" They might as well talk to you like that.